I did some of these things without someone even telling me that it would benefit my financial status. And the last one is my favorite, and it might surprise you and also rattles and feathers. Here are 8 things I did at 21, one I actually did at 18, that have made me financially stable, financially literate, and financially successful at 28 years old. Now, the first thing is picking finance and accounting at university. And I think this is one of the better decisions I made when I was younger, because this vocation or this kind of industry, I think, is a really recession-proof industry to be in, because there will always be a need for someone with this kind of knowledge. Businesses need finance departments. The accountant can be the CEO of a company, but the CEO can't be the accountant of a company. Every company needs this role, and the skills themselves are highly transferable to loads of different careers and really allow you to understand the world around you. And like I said, it's just a form of stability, even though it's a career that I'm not actually performing in now or utilizing now. It's a really good skill set and decision that I made that's gonna hopefully, I won't need to, but uphold my ability to earn money in the future. And also ability to earn money while I was in that industry. The average salaries, the average bonuses, the average kind of compensation for the work that you do in a finance and accounting role is generally higher, so your earning potential is also a lot higher over the course of your professional career. The second thing I did was going really hard for internships and graduate jobs. This is something that has really paid off in a really weird, it just worked out way, because I actually ended up not getting the internship that would have benefited me the most in terms of, getting me a guaranteed graduate job when I finished university. I actually ended up getting an internship with Entrepreneurial Scotland, or the Saltaire Foundation, which is specific to Scottish unis and Scottish students. And it's an opportunity that took me to New York City to work in a finance department of a drinks company. And while that was amazing and was completely transformative for the skills that I built at the time, especially in terms of working culture, international culture, and also just generally understanding a finance department and how it worked, it didn't guarantee me a job after I came back, which meant I had to go hard on graduate job applications. It meant that I got my graduate job at the Big Four that ended up paying for my accounting qualification related to my degree that I was speaking about in the first point. Now, in my early 20s, I read one book that completely changed my attitude to money, money management, investing, and piqued my interest in personal finance, which led me to making my first ever video on this channel, which was about money saving habits for young people, which, as you can imagine, has just transformed the direction in which my career and finances eventually ended up going. And to me, I reflect on that and see a decision to not just read a book, but actually take what was in the book and share the learnings and also apply what I was reading to my life. I started budgeting. The year I read the book was also the year that I opened up my stocks and shares ISA. It was the year that I finally actually made a plan to clear my credit card debt and ended up clearing my credit card debt. And those all springboarded me into having a lot more confidence with money, working on my lack or scarcity mindset and turning that into an abundance mindset, which, all of these things have inquantifiable outcomes and benefits from doing, and have definitely influenced me being financially stable now at 28. I also didn't ever rely on a credit card to get me out of a sticky situation. And what I did instead was build sinking funds and an emergency fund to actually help me cover situations that were unexpected, and also situations I knew I was likely to spend more money on. And this was because of the fact that I have had credit card debt before that I had to make a plan and put a lot of effort into paying off. But I didn't get that credit card debt initially from using credit to save me. I got into credit card debt because of not understanding my spending habits and not understanding the phrase live within your means. But treating a credit card like an emergency fund is something I've never done, and I feel like that would give me a lot of anxiety to do, because it is borrowed money, it's not your money, and it's also money that you have to pay back on time if you want to avoid the extremely high interest that gets put onto your balance. But on the flip side, something I'm really glad I did is learn how to use credit cards wisely and not use them to fund bad spending habits. Because credit cards, when used wisely, are a really, really amazing tool to not only build your credit, but also get rewards for money that you're spending anyway. If you use credit cards properly, you can build up really strategic flight points, holiday points, you can get cash back, you can get rewards, but you have to make sure to never only be making the minimum payments on these. Use them as your debit card, pay them off in full, but if you are doing any spending, using the credit cards to actually get rewards and perks for the spending anyway. The other thing I'm really glad I did was take social media seriously. Now, I feel like I don't really talk about my full social media journey a lot, but I have always been interested in social media, in particular YouTube. I've grown up on YouTube. I'm a bit of a YouTube baby. Starting my social media channels and actually taking them seriously has helped me professionally in my career a lot. It's helped me to build my reputation in the personal finance and career space. It's allowed me to win an award. It's allowed me to get a lot more financial and professional flexibility. And it's opened up the potential of loads of different income streams. And I really want to emphasize the word potential there, because there are so many things I now have access to doing compared to having just worked a 9 to 5, relying just on that monthly income to try and either build assets or, like find a different way to increase my wealth. But taking social media seriously has completely expanded my idea of what is possible as a relatively young person in this world. The other thing I'm really glad I did is put my bonuses towards either investing or my emergency fund. I was always putting my bonus towards a future version of myself rather than spending it or using it as like an extra bit of money to spend and never see again. I think this is a habit that I learned just from getting good with money and understanding the benefit of actually paying my future self rather than like benefiting me in the present day. And it's a muscle that you definitely have to practice, but it's something that you feel uber grateful for if you actually do it time and time again. And especially with bonus payments, because bonus payments aren't payments that you're relying on, hopefully. So it's a really great top up for either emergency funds, investments, or sinking funds, i.e. money that you are planning on spending in a year, but that you can put money aside for. And the final thing that I'm really, really glad I did in my early 20s is apply the Pareto principle to my biggest spending areas and making those initial sacrifices in my early 20s. In my early 20s, me and my partner have always had either a flatmate or a roommate, which means we've always not had to pay ridiculous rent prices. We also don't live in a particularly expensive city. It can be expensive at times, but again, we've lived in ways to make that a lot more affordable. Those short-term sacrifices, which were really short-term, we only had to do them for a few years, has meant that later, in our later 20s and for our 30s, we're set up a lot better because we've had longer to take more disposable income and put them into assets or put them into savings. It's meant that those small sacrifices have really paid off for a much better quality of life now. And it also means I don't really have to catch up for living my life in my 20s. It was not difficult, it was not struggle. We weren't in the trenches with a roommate. It was actually quite fun because I knew I was making those sacrifices to make future me a lot less stressed about life and a lot better with money, and actually have a lot more invested into assets than I would have done if I had wanted to live my life to the fullest and spent all my money when I was younger. If you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this video on the 5 habits that could fix 80% of your problems, which is a great deal if you ask me. So don't forget to watch that and let me know in the comments if there are any habits or decisions that you made when you were younger that you feel like have financially impacted you in a massive way now. Because even though hindsight is 2020, it's nice to reflect and see the benefits of the decisions that I made when I was younger, thinking that I was quite a silly young person, but actually, you know what, I was quite smart. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next week.